Okay, so welcome back. So, okay, so we'll continue with the question number 2. अब देखते हैं कि once we have that knowledge that we talked about, how we will be writing the answer which is here. And एक चीज तुम लोगों ने देखी होगी अभी तक, अगर मैं बुक की बात करूं तो देयर इज फर्स्ट चैप्टर ऑफ द बुक. हमने क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 में उसको वी हैव कंप्लीटेड इट. And if you just more glance through the book, you just have to glance through and see the diagrams and where those spaces are located so that you are able to make the diagrams. Like for example, when we were talking about physiography, in the physiography, you will be making the map and you will show what is the position of Himalayas, for example, other mountains. So you have to show that while you are writing answers. Same thing with the rivers, etc. Okay. तो दैट इज द केस. चैप्टर 2 जो बुक का होता है जियोलॉजी, यू विल सी कि अभी ये यहीं पे खत्म हो जाए. ओके, वेयर एवर देयर विल बी नीड, आई विल स्पेसिफिकली टेल यू दैट यू हैव टू स्कैन थ्रू द बुक दिस चैप्टर पर्टिकुलरली एंड यू हैव टू सप्लीमेंट इट विथ व्हाट वी हैव डन इन द क्लास. ओके ओके, just before I forget, one more thing, you know that we have started, you might have been aware that we have also started a GS 500 plus. Up till now 2 classes have been taken for that. More classes will be taken, like for example history class will be taken after the geography class is over. In that abhi geography classes are going on. Then after that paper 2 polity and all those classes are there. All these classes, at least one classes will keep open for you people. So you see कि उसमें कैसा quality जा रहा है, and you will see that the quality is much better than what is there available in the market. Okay, and with respect to GS also, because I have framed this in the entire way which I have framed the geography optional 500 plus. और पहले भी बता चुका हूँ, I call myself as the innovator of this program 500 plus. So in similar line I have done that. बहुत सारे लोग 500 plus कर रहे हैं just because this program became very popular. So you watch that, you tell your friends also about the program that it is a very good program. Also one more thing that अब देखो क्या होता है कि बाकी लोग जब YouTube पे लेक्चर लेते हैं तो they always keep shouting, हाँ मजा आया, लाइक करो. So my personality is not like that. I won't be able to tell like the way they are telling. But I can humbly request you to like the classes or these lectures which are going on, and if you like it, एक comment तो बनता है, whatever you feel about the classes which are there. ठीक है, it will help us also to ultimately penetrate through the larger if you talk about category of students, because they actually don't know. So many students, when they are coming to me, they were not even aware that something like this even exist, and they are being fooled by many things which are going on in the market. Babagiri motivation जो चल रहा है, so it is all going on. So we have to make sure कि they also understand what is actually the quality and what is the good way of studying. Okay, so now let us apply what we have learned. Ethics भी है उसमें. अतुल sir will be taking the ethics classes, and अतुल sir का test series भी है अलग से. If anyone wants to take, his module is also there. So all of this ethics is also there. Separate classes भी हैं, उसमें भी हैं class. Okay. So we are talking about answer number 2. So if we read the question again, the evolution of Indian Peninsula is outcome of interplay between endogenetic and exogenetic forces. So if we talk about this answer in the introduction part itself, we will try to answer the question. So we will say that the global and regional tectonics along with the gradation processes has led to the development of Indian Peninsula. Indian Peninsula. So when I have talked about gradation, you can understand gradation दो तरीके का होता है, degradation and aggradation. That means it includes exogenetic processes and the global and regional tectonics, which is the endogenetic process. Okay, so I have catered to what was being asked in the question. Then main body. So I'll say that the evolution of the Indian Peninsula has taken or has been completed in two phases. In two phases. First, if you talk about first phase is the formation of the peninsular basement structure. Peninsular basement structure. Second, if you talk about is the changes, या फिर I use a word actually, and this word is cosmetic changes. Changes over this basement structure. So there are two phases in which it has occurred. So अगर मैं first phase की बात करूं, phase 1. So in phase 1 we find number of things are there. So first, if you talk about is the formation of cratonic blocks. Formation of the cratonic blocks. Second, if you talk about is the merger of cratonic blocks and formation of old fold mountains. Formation of the old fold mountains. Third, if you talk about is the formation of Purana platforms in two phases. Okay. So in the first phase there were three sub phases of formation. Once this third final phase was complete, then what happened? Our peninsular basement structure was completed. Later what we find that over this basement structure there has been changes which have been superimposed. These changes essentially have not altered the greater plan of the basement structure, just added some cosmetic changes over it. Okay. So if you talk about this second phase mein, again there were number of steps which have taken place. Number one is the phenomena of Gondwana rifting, and formation of grabens. Second is Mesozoic sea encroachment and formation of related sedimentary platforms. Then, in the third step, it is the stupendous volcanism of the late Cretaceous. Stupendous volcanism of the late Cretaceous. That means ending of Mesozoic. Then Cenozoic marine transgressions. Cenozoic marine transgressions. एंड इसको मैं सीनोजोइक के बजाय टर्शरी भी लिख सकता हूँ. मोर अप्रोप्रिएटली इट वॉज टर्शरी मरीन ट्रांसग्रेशंस. एंड फाइनली द क्वाटरनरी टेक्टोनिक्स. क्वाटरनरी टेक्टोनिक्स. ठीक है. तो जब हम पेनिनसुला की बात करते हैं तो these are the 8 steps we have to remember in the formation of the peninsula. तो फर्स्ट स्टेप की बात करते हैं, फॉर्मेशन ऑफ द क्रेटोनिक ब्लॉक्स. क्रेटोनिक blocks. So I would say cratonic blocks formed from the volcanism which led to formation of the continental nuclei. The greenstone belts or greenstone belt rocks of these are still preserved in the ancient shield structures of India. In the ancient shield structures of India. So shield structures कहाँ पे मिलते हैं? These are found in the core of Bundelkhand region. These are found in the core of the Dharwad, Chota Nagpur, Bastar. ठीक है. So that is the first step. Then gradation of these volcanic peaks led to formation of Dharwad बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म्स, धारवाड़ बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म्स। ठीक है, तो जो सबसे पहला प्लेटफॉर्म इंडिया में फॉर्म हुआ वो कौन सा था? इट वाज धारवाड़ प्लेटफॉर्म। So that means जो हमने बात किया था कि if suppose there is this volcano and here what will happen, this will be denuded and this denudation will lead to formation of deposition of sediments on its flanks. तो जो सबसे पहले प्लेटफॉर्म्स फॉर्म हुए ये कौन से थे? दीज वर योर धारवाड़ बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म। ठीक है, so with this the formation of cratonic blocks forming India was completed. So initially जो धारवाड़ बेसमेंट रॉक्स थी वो सेडिमेंट्री थी, बट बिकॉज दे आर वेरी ओल्ड दे हैव बीन मेटामॉर्फोस्ड टुडे। So this is the first. Then second पे आते हैं। At some time in the Archean period, global plate tectonics began, which led to the merger of these cratonic blocks, which led to the merger of these cratonic blocks to form the initial structure of Indian Peninsula. So at this point of time we will draw this diagram. ठीक है, so this is the peninsula of India. So you can very clearly see that one structure, it was this Bundelkhand structure, Bundelkhand Craton. So it was formed around 3.3 billion years ago. Then if you talk about, there was this Singhbum structure which is even older. It was formed around 3.56 billion years ago. Then there was also a Bastar Craton which is around 3 billion years ago. Dharwad Craton which is around 3.2 billion years ago. So this is our Singhbum, Bastar, and this is essentially your Dharwad Craton. So it has been formed by the merger of 4 cratonic blocks. Yes, Singhbum is the oldest one. ठीक है, so these 4 cratonic blocks. Can we say, इसमें एक और लाइन हम ऐड कर सकते हैं? Can we say that this is proven by the presence of these weak lineament zones? यहाँ पे इनके बीच में कौन से weak lineament zones exist करते हैं? Can we say ये rift valleys हैं which was later formed? So presence of these weak lineament zones in the form of Narmada, Tapi, Son, Damodar, गोदावरी एंड महानदी। ठीक है, सो एक लाइन इसमें हम ऐड कर सकते हैं। हियर इट विल बी दिस डायग्राम विच विल बी ड्रॉन। हाँ सॉरी, ठीक है। So this diagram will be there and then we'll write that statement that this is proven by the presence of several weak ancient suture zones in the form of Narmada, Tapi, Son, Damodar, Mahanadi and Godavari. ठीक है, इतनी बात हो गई. Now, within this, while this merger was taking place, there was also formation of several mobile belts or several fold mountain belts. And if you talk about these fold mountain belts, again you can understand if two plates are colliding, what will happen? Will there be formation of fold mountains? Obviously, yes. Okay. So while this merger was taking place, several fold mountain belts, सेवरल फोल्ड माउंटेन बेल्ट्स. मेरे नोट्स जो दिया है, बिकॉज वो मेरे टेक्निकल नोट्स हैं, तो उसमें लिखा हुआ है मोबाइल जोन्स. ठीक है, माउंटेन बेल्ट्स को उसमें मोबाइल जोन्स लिखा हुआ है. तो सेवरल फोल्ड माउंटेन बेल्ट्स वर फॉर्म्ड. सो इमीडिएटली अगर इसके बाद देखें तो कैन यू सी दीज प्रोटेरोजोइक मोबाइल बेल्ट्स वर फॉर्म्ड. ठीक है. एंड इफ यू टॉक अबाउट दिस प्रोटेरोजोइक मोबाइल बेल्ट्स, in this proterozoic mobile belts there was this one crescent shape mobile belt which was formed Aravalli, Satpura, Chota Nagpur plateau and it continued in the northeast India. ठीक है. So this is one diagram which you will be drawing. तो ये सबसे पहले ड्रॉ करो, this one. So there was, at this point you will draw this diagram. मैंने एक मिस्टेक कर दी थी, उसको मैं करेक्ट करता हूँ. प्रोटेरोजोइक का जो पीरियड होता है, एक्चुअली इट इज प्रोटेरोजोइक स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम 2.5 बिलियन. उसको करेक्ट कर लो. एंड 3.1 से वो आर्कियन वाला था, 3.6 से आर्कियन. So what was happening, we are saying in the early Proterozoic. This phenomena has occurred in early Proterozoic. So there was formation of Aravalli, Satpura, Chota Nagpur plateau mountain belt. ठीक है. So first I'll draw this diagram here. So then will come my diagram and then I'll say some more mountain belts developed only later in the Purana or Proterozoic period. Purana or the Proterozoic period. Like for example, see here. Can you see this Eastern Ghats? So Eastern Ghats were also fold mountains. और ये कैसे फॉर्म हुए थे? You might be knowing that Gondwana, continent of Gondwana, actually it was being formed, or continent of Gondwana was actually completed before the end of the pre-Cambrian. ठीक है. तो उस टाइम पे जब continent of Gondwana फॉर्म हो रहा था, तो here you know in this part it was connected with Australia. तो यहाँ पे ऑस्ट्रेलिया से जब कोलिजन हुआ तो देयर वाज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ दिस ईस्टर्न घाट्स. ठीक है. फिर बाद में ये जो कॉन्टिनेंट ऑफ गोंडवाना, it collided with continent of Laurasia to ultimately supercontinent of Laurasia to form the further bigger supercontinent of Pangaea. ठीक है, it occurred in the later phases of the Paleozoic. So, but Eastern Ghats were formed at that time. तो अगर हम इन माउंटेन्स का टाइम पीरियड देखें तो वी विल बी फाइंडिंग, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अरावली, these were formed somewhere around 2.1 billion years ago. ठीक है, सेम थिंग इफ यू टॉक अबाउट विद द सतपुरा, फर्स्ट अपलिफ्टमेंट ऑफ छोटा नागपुर प्लेटू also occurred in the same period. On the other hand, if you talk about the Eastern Ghats, Eastern Ghats were formed around 1.6 billion years ago. That is why we have written later in the Proterozoic. Some other mountain belts were formed. More mountain belts were formed. You know, जब अरावली 2.1 billion years में फॉर्म हुआ, over a period of time अरावली was peneplained. ठीक है, but there was again a re-upliftment of Aravalli, and this re-upliftment of Aravalli led to formation of the Aravallis again. This episode is referred to as Delhi orogeny, which occurred around 700 million years ago. So several such mountain belts were formed during this period. Now, तो सेकेंड हमारा फेज कंप्लीट हो गया. हमने 8 फेज की बात की थी. फॉर्मेशन ऑफ क्रिटोनिक ब्लॉक्स हो गया, मर्जर ऑफ क्रिटोनिक ब्लॉक्स एंड फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ओल्ड फोल्ड माउंटेन्स. दिल्ली ओरोजेनी भी अगर तुम देखोगे तो इट वॉज रिलेटेड विद द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ पेंजिया. सॉरी, पेंजिया बोल रहा हूँ, गोंडवाना. देखो, अगर सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट साइकिल पढ़ेंगे तो वी विल बी फाइंडिंग कि पेंजिया वाज नॉट द ओनली सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट. ठीक है, बिफोर दैट देयर वर सेवरल सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट साइकिल्स. सो इट्स फॉर्मेशन टुक प्लेस इन वन ऑफ द सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट्स, एंड दिस वन ऑफ द सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट वाज गोंडवाना. उसको भी सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट का दर्जा दिया जाता है, स्टेटस ऑफ सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट, बिकॉज इट कंटेन वेरी लार्ज पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. ठीक है, so the completion of the Gondwana supercontinent was completed at the end of the Precambrian. So in that period there was again formation of this Delhi origin. Okay, so if you talk about second phase is complete. अब उस पे आते हैं थर्ड पर. थर्ड क्या था? फॉर्मेशन ऑफ पुराना प्लेटफॉर्म्स. ठीक है, so अब पुराना प्लेटफॉर्म्स की बात करें तो टेल मी, इफ देयर इज दिस क्रस्ट, यहां पर देखो, अगर लिथोस्फीयर है एंड इफ दिस लिथोस्फीयर इज देयर, इस लिथोस्फीयर में मैं इस तरह से लोडिंग कर दूं, लोडिंग ऑफ रॉक्स, व्हाट विल हैपन? कैन वी से इट विल बेंड? ठीक है, सो इट एसेंशियली बेंडेड लाइक दिस. सो एज दिस लिथोस्फीयर बेंडेड लाइक दिस, कैन यू अंडरस्टैंड, विल देयर बी अ डिप्रेशन फॉर्म्ड? yes or no? There will be formation of a depression. ठीक है, आज की डेट में, आज की लैंग्वेज में हम इसको बोलते हैं फोर डीप. ठीक है, एंशिएंट जो फोर डीप थे उसको बोलते हैं देयर वाज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ सेवरल जियोसिनेक्लाइज. तो सच काइंड ऑफ सेवरल जियोसिनेक्लाइज वर फॉर्म. और अगर ये प्लेटफॉर्म्स फॉर्म होंगे तो कैन वी से कि यहां से जो रिवर्स आ रही हैं, द रिवर्स विच आर कमिंग फ्रॉम हियर एंड द रिवर्स विच विल ओरिजिनेट फ्रॉम हियर, विल दीज रिवर्स डिपॉजिट सेडिमेंट्स हियर? ठीक है, so there will be deposition of sediments. That means over the धारवाड़, पहले प्लेटफॉर्म कौन सा था? धारवाड़. धारवाड़ के ऊपर there was a new platform which was superimposed and this platform is referred to as the Purana platform. ठीक है, and if you talk about this Purana platform, it also was formed in two phases. Why two phases? अब देखो, अगर ये इस तरह से, if suppose this depression has been formed, अगर मैं इसको bird's eye view से देखूं, suppose this is my bird's eye view and there is this mountain formed. Okay, so that means यहाँ पर this bending has taken place. This bending, does it means that, is it possible that sea water can encroach? Yes or no? So there would have been encroachment of sea water. So initially what was happening, there was sea water, marine, saline water which was present. So initially the deposition which was taking place, it was in marine environment. Okay? So that deposition we are calling it as the Kudappa platform. Later, as more and more deposition will happen, can we say marine environment will give way to freshwater environment? So it will give way to freshwater environment. So the next phase of deposition which occurred, it occurred in freshwater environment. And as a result of which, we are calling it as the second phase of deposition. This deposition is referred to as the Vindhyan platform formation. ठीक है? So next आता है हमारा, this is the third stage. And if you talk about, it is the formation of Purana platforms. So if you talk about Purana platforms, में इसमें क्या लिखेंगे? With the formation of fold mountain belts, several ancient geosynclies were formed surrounding them. In these depressions, sediments were deposited to form new Purana platforms. Then I'll say Purana platforms were formed in two stages. First, it was Kudappa phase, या फिर इसको बोलते हैं लोअर पुराना, and the period was 1.6 to 1 billion years. 1 billion years. तो कुडप्पा फेज में अगर हम देखें तो you see, this is the Purana basins which were formed, and you see here is the Kudappa phase. So these were the mountains. Surrounding these mountains, can you see? There was these formations. पहले इधर देख लेते हैं. You see, this is one depression, major depressions. Then there was one depression between these eastern Ghats and these Satpura and these mountains. So here one depression was there, another depression is here, where there was deposition of the sediments taking place. ठीक है? तो इन्हीं को बोलते हैं पुराना basins. So in these Purana basins, deposition was taking place. ठीक है? So Purana successions are divisible into two major groupings: Lower Purana or Kudappa sequence, Upper Purana and the Vindhyan sequence. So Lower Purana sequence, these developed in Kudappa basin. So this big basin, can you see? This is the Kudappa basin. There was Godavari basin, Kaladgi basin and Gwalior Bijawar. ये वाला जो basin था, this was referred to as Gwalior Bijawar. Then what happened? Upper Purana or Vindhyan में there were two changes. These basins became even bigger. Number one. Second, the marine environment gave way to freshwater environment of deposition. So there was new basins which developed, giving rise to Chhattisgarh, Indravati, Sulavi, Bhima, Badami and Kurnool basins in the south. And the Gwalior-Bijawar basin of the north. Now it was called as the Vindhyan basin. ठीक है, now it was called as the Vindhyan basin. So this is the second. So this is the Vindhyan phase or upper Purana phase. So it is from 1 billion to 0.5 billion. तो ये मटेरियल में लिखा हुआ है, उससे यू जस्ट टेक आउट एंड यू कैन मेक वन स्मॉल सेंटेंस फॉर हियर, वन स्मॉल सेंटेंस फॉर हियर एंड अ डायग्राम. अब मैंने देखो क्या इसमें किया है, क्योंकि ये मेरे नोट्स थे, मैं हमेशा डायग्राम्स बनाने में आई कैन बी मोर इनोवेटिव विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू मेकिंग द डायग्राम एंड रादर दैन जैसे मैंने यहाँ पर एक ही डायग्राम में दोनों दिखा दिया. कैन आई से कि मेरे डायग्राम ऐसा हो सकता था कि एक डायग्राम ये हो गया and which is the Kudappa sequence, then it is transforming into the Vindhyan sequence. So two diagrams I could have drawn, how the change was taking place, how it became bigger and new basins were added. Okay, so rather than making one basin, you make in your diagram, in your answers, two basins. Okay, then so once we have written this, finally we can say with the formation of Purana basins, Indian peninsula stabilized. Indian peninsula stabilized. After this, the tectonic and gradation changes have just made cosmetic alterations. And the basic plan or structural plan has remained intact. तो ये फर्स्ट फेज हमारा फिनिश हो गया कि उसका जो बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म था, बेसमेंट स्ट्रक्चर था, इट वाज कंप्लीटेड. नाउ started the second phase of development. अब second phase of development में हम अगर अपने उसमें देखें तो what is the case? We are talking about Gondwana rifting formation, rifting and formation of the grebens. If you remember, अभी जब हम जियोलॉजिकल टाइम स्केल कर रहे थे तो उसमें गोंडवाना कहाँ पर था? It was with Carboniferous. In between we also talked about the Dravidian period. ठीक है? But in our sequence, we haven't written the Dravidian period. So what happened to the Indian peninsula during the Dravidian period? So you have to understand कि ये सारी information हमें कैसे मिलती है. This all information we are finding because if we look at the study the peninsular rocks, here the rocks are superimposed one above the other. And each of these layers were formed during different periods. ठीक है? So global stratigraphic column में we also find those Dravidian rocks, but Indian stratigraphic column में these Dravidian rocks are missing. So there can be only one major explanation of this, that in this period during some time it would be possible that the entire peninsula was above sea level. So if the entire peninsula was above the sea level, does it mean that it was subjected to erosion and the sediments would have been taken away from the peninsula? That means on the peninsula there was no such big deposition which occurred. during this period. That is why we are skipping the Dravidian part, because there was nothing major occurring in the Dravidian part. So that is why we are coming directly to the second phase, and here we are coming directly to the Gondwana rifting and formation of grebens. So what happened? You must be aware that this was the time when the supercontinent of Pangaea was being formed. ठीक है, तो सुपर कॉन्टिनेंट ऑफ पेंजिया का जब फॉर्मेशन हो रहा होगा, तो कैन वी से सेवरल प्लेट्स वुड हैव कोलाइडेड विथ ईच अदर, एंड in this collision, in this global tectonics, what happened? These weak zones, जिनकी अभी हमने बात की थी, these weak suture zones, they got again fractured and faulted, leading to formation of these rift valleys. ठीक है, so what happened? So we'll simply say associated with the global tectonics of formation of the Pangaea. Several collisions occurred, leading to the reactivation of the ancient weak suture zones of peninsula. This led to formation of the rift valleys, or we can also write graben structures of Narmada, Tapi, Son, Damodar, Mahanadi and Godavari. Mahanadi and Godavari. So you see, this was these graben structures where this fracturing occurred. In fact, you can understand where this fracturing was occurring at places even the sea encroachment would have occurred. ठीक है, you can also write, अगर लिखना है, although लिखने की ज़रूरत है नहीं, but if I want to write, in this thick sequence of vegetation was deposited, which became the major coal deposits of India. ठीक है, although we don't have space, after this basically you will draw the diagram. So this is the Gondwana rifting and the formation of the grebens. Then we enter into the second phase. You see here, it is the period of Jurassic and early Cretaceous. So you know, this was the period when Indian peninsula was now, you know, Jurassic में क्या हुआ? Can we say it was the breakup of Pangaea which started? ठीक है, so with the breakup of Pangaea, there was shifting of these tectonic or this continental block, and ultimately what happened? There was marine transgression associated with the breakup of Indian peninsula from Gondwana land occurred. हाँ, पेंजिया का ब्रेकअप हुआ है जुरासिक के बिगिनिंग. ठीक है, अराउंड 200 मिलियन ईयर्स। ओके, सो नेक्स्ट हमारा फेज था मीसोजोइक sedimentation. So if you talk about Mesozoic sedimentation, what happened with the breakup of Pangea in Jurassic and Gondwana land later on, the edges of the peninsula were submerged under sea. So they were submerged under sea. Here I will make the diagram, and if you see, this is the diagram at this point of time which should be made. So you can see northern edges and particularly the eastern edges of the peninsula came under the sea. So several parts here, what was happening, if they are coming under sea, can I say rivers will begin to deposit sediments there? So new platforms were formed here which belong to like Kaveri Palar, Krishna Godavari region, Mahanadi region, Bengal Meghalaya region. Here what happened, new sedimentary platforms were formed on the edges of the peninsula. So we will say this led to, after we have drawn this diagram, we will say this led to formation of new sedimentary platforms along Kaveri, Palar, Krishna, Godavari, Mahanadi, West Bengal या फिर it is Bengal Meghalaya. Bengal Meghalaya region. So this is the second सब phase within the second phase. तो Mesozoic sedimentation. फिर उसके बाद तीसरा हमारा क्या था, stupendous volcanism of late Cretaceous, और एट द एंड इसको एंड क्रिटेशियस भी लिख सकते हो. सो एज यू नो, as Indian peninsula drifted northward, it came above hotspots. It came above hotspots, which led to outpouring of hot and fluid basaltic lava. Hot and fluid basaltic lava, leading to formation of Maharashtra plateau, and its extensions like Kathiawad and Malwa Plateau, as well as another area where it was taking place was Rajmahal Silhet region. Rajmahal Silhet Hills. राजमहल सिलहेट हिल्स, ठीक है. सो इसका भी डायग्राम मैंने दिया हुआ है, यू सी. सो देर वर टू हॉटस्पॉट्स who were responsible. The one which was responsible here, it is reunion hotspot, and the Rajmahal Silhet, it was कौन सा था, करगुलियन हॉटस्पॉट. तो उसमें लिखा हुआ है मटेरियल में, यू कैन सी अर्ली लोअर क्रिटेशियस में इट वाज राजमहल हिल्स एंड सिलहेट विच वर पासिंग ओवर द करगुलियन हॉटस्पॉट, एंड इट वाज 86 मिलियन ईयर अराउंड. यहाँ पर एक आइलैंड है कर्नाटका के पास, सेंट मैरी. इट वाज फॉर्म्ड एंड 69 से 61 मिलियन ईयर्स अगो अराउंड डेक्कन वॉल्केनिक प्रोविंस वाज फॉर्म्ड फ्रॉम द दिस रीयूनियन हॉटस्पॉट. तो ये जो रीयूनियन हॉटस्पॉट से जो मैग्मा आया, this was very hot magma, and because of being very hot it was very fluid, and since it was very fluid, you can understand it was able to travel to great distances, and that led to formation of Kathiawad as well as Malwa Plateau. ठीक है. So this is the next phase which occurred. Then tertiary marine transgressions of peninsular Indian coast. So in the tertiary period, you might be aware that the sea levels rose to very high level, and as a result of which large parts of the Indian peninsula coastal regions were engulfed. Okay, they got submerged. So here is this diagram, the next phase, and during this period, that means new platforms were formed, new sedimentary platforms were formed. So you can see number of platforms, the earlier platforms, they got bigger. One platform, like, can you see Malabar? It was present. Can you see this? Punjab, Rajasthan platform. ठीक है. Similarly, here again lower Assam platform. All these platforms were formed during this tertiary marine transgression episode. So if we are writing about the tertiary marine transgression, tertiary period saw, or actually it is related with the end of Cretaceous. इस समय क्या हुआ, sea levels they rose around 200 meters more than it is now. ठीक है. This is also famously referred to as the Cretaceous floods. So scientists believe कि इस समय tectonics बहुत fast हो रहा था, and because of that the mid-oceanic ridges were very bigger. So they contained so much volume of the oceans that ultimately there was rise in the sea level. So tertiary period में क्या हुआ, tertiary period saw great increase in the sea levels, which led to large parts of the Indian Peninsula frontiers submerged under sea. This led to another phase of active deposition, leading to extension of older coastal platforms like along the east coast, as well as formation of new coastal platforms like the Punjab, Rajasthan platform. So this happened in the tertiary period. And the final phase, the fifth phase, is the quaternary tectonics. The quaternary tectonics. And if you talk about the quaternary tectonics, tell me, can we say that during the quaternary period, this was the period जब इससे पहले हिमालयाज का फॉर्मेशन हो रहा था, ठीक है? So during this period, Indian Peninsula further experienced lots of tectonic activities. So I would simply say associated with the formation of Himalayas, Indian Peninsula experienced several tectonic upheavals from north to south, ठीक है? So अगर हम नॉर्थ में देखें तो वन टेक्टोनिक अपहेवल विच वाज टेकिंग प्लेस वाज अरावली, ठीक है? सो अरावली में क्या हुआ? इन दिस पीरियड अरावली वर री-अपलिफ्टेड as block mountains. They were re-uplifted as block mountains. So there was some faulting occurred and they were re-uplifted as block mountains. Similarly, if you talk about in the central part, so here in the central part, what happened? Narmada and Tapi rift valleys again became active. That means उसमें जो sinking middle block की होती है वो पहले रुक गई थी, इस समय फिर से स्टार्ट हो गई of the sinking of the keystone. Then in the south, if you talk about, it was the formation of Western Ghats. Western Ghats which have occurred. ठीक है? तो वेस्टर्न घाट्स कैसे अकर हुए हैं यहाँ पर फॉर्मेशन? वी बिलीव कि पहले जो पेनिनसुला होगा, राइट नाउ वी नो दैट द पेनिनसुला इज समथिंग लाइक दिस, ठीक है? वी बिलीव दैट अर्लियर द पेनिनसुला वुड हैव बीन बिगर. So the land which was to the west of Western Ghats, there was faulting and subsidence of this land, which has led to the formation of the escarpment of the Western Ghats. So this has happened during which period? In a very recent period, that is the Quaternary period. So formation of Western Ghats due to faulting and subsidence of land to its west. लैंड टू इट्स वेस्ट. ठीक है. सो एक्चुअली एक थ्योरी ये कहती है कि प्रोबेबली यहाँ पर क्या होगा, सपोज ये दिस वाज द केस, दिस वाज द लैंड, प्रोबेबली व्हाट वुड हैव हैपेंड हियर, देयर वुड हैव बीन अ मैग्मा बॉडी विच वुड हैव कम. ठीक है. तो जब मैग्मा आता है तो व्हाट इट विल डू, विल इट बेंड द रॉक्स, तो देयर विल बी अपवार्पिंग विच विल टेक प्लेस. जब ये रिजिड रॉक्स, ब्रिटल रॉक्स बेंड होंगी तो कैन वी से दे विल ऑल्सो फ्रैक्चर. So there will be fracturing. So what would have happened here? This fracturing of these rocks would have occurred and this would have subsided. This also explains कि Western Ghats high क्यों हो गए. This explains because जब ये magma आएगा, so what this magma will do? Can we say this magma will melt some of the rocks? And if there is melting of these rocks, lithosphere rocks, can we say they will become lighter? If they will become lighter, does it means there will be isostatic uplift associated with it? So again, this is one of the theories which explains why this edge is higher. So इधर क्या हुआ, there was fracturing and ultimately it became something like this. If we say it became this kind of escarpment, here this fractured rocks are present and this is essentially your. ठीक है. So in this manner what has happened, the Western Ghats have been formed. So this is the evolution of Indian Peninsula. मेरा जो मटेरियल मैंने दिया है ये बहुत डिटेल है. I have just simplified it for you in the class. तो जो सिंप्लीफिकेशन किया है उसी लैंग्वेज में लिखो, बिकॉज दैट इज द जोग्राफर्स लैंग्वेज. ठीक है. कंक्लूजन इसमें हम क्या लिख सकते हैं, we can write a conclusion here and we can say as disclosed by Hutton that there is no vestige of a beginning and no prospect of an end, comma, the evolution of Indian Peninsula still continues. It is most active along its margins where the deltas of Ganga, Brahmaputra, Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna are encroaching into the sea. Encroaching into the sea. Ganga, Brahmaputra, Mahanadi, Krishna, Godavari, ठीक है. So that is basically the case of your formation of Indian Peninsula. देखो फिजिकल सेटिंग एक ऐसा टॉपिक है, थोड़ा सा टाइम इसमें ज़्यादा लगता है स्टार्टिंग के क्वेश्चंस में. structure and relief is the topic which takes maximum amount of time. उसके बाद it becomes faster. Okay, let us move on to our next question. You will further summarize. I was just explaining it because of which it became bigger. No, you cannot reduce the diagrams. The diagrams which I told you, they have to be made. You can reduce the content. The varied structure and relief of the peninsular plateau not only creates diversity in physical but also human geography. Elucidate. So I'll give you 2-3 minutes brainstorm. कैसे लिखेंगे इसको? ओके, देखो ये बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन, मैंने एक ब्रॉड क्वेश्चन लिया है so that I am able to cover many parts. If you look into the papers which have been asked, they are not asking like this big question. They will ask you, for example, Malwa Plateau and the related human geography or the significance of Malwa Plateau, या फिर Deccan Plateau, Deccan Basalt Plateau or Aravalli. So they'll be asking question on single of the units of the peninsula rather than the entire peninsula. मैंने इसमें just to cover a broad perspective, I have taken the entire peninsula. ठीक है, but be aware that the question will be asked not about the entire peninsula but on the units of the peninsula. That is the trend today, what they are asking. ठीक है, so it is saying varied structure and relief of the peninsular plateau. अब इसको लिखने में बहुत सारे तरीके हैं. So that means in my answer I have to first start with the parts of the peninsula. I'll just divide. Peninsula can be divided into this parts on the basis of structure and relief. I'll draw the map. Each of the parts I will discuss, and in each of the parts there will be three things I will talk about. I will talk about one. I will talk about structure and relief. Second, I will talk about इसमें स्ट्रक्चर एंड रिलीफ में वेरिड फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी इसके पार्ट होगा. एंड देन आई विल टॉक अबाउट व्हाट इज द ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया. जनरली ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी लिखते समय यू फोकस अपॉन टू थिंग्स, इकोनॉमिक एंड डेमोग्राफी. दो चीजें अगर हमने लिख दी तो इट इज मोर देन सफिशिएंट. ठीक है, सो इफ वी टॉक अबाउट दिस, you can understand that if we talk about the Indian peninsula, सो इंडिया इज लाइक दिस. अगर हम पेनिनसुला की बात करें तो समवेयर फ्रॉम हियर वी कैन से दैट लाई द बाउंड्रीज ऑफ द पेनिनसुला. ठीक है. तो पेनिनसुला को हम डिवाइड करते हैं इन नंबर ऑफ डिविजन्स. So if you talk about one important division of the peninsula, it becomes this is referred to as the Central Highlands. ठीक है. Central Highlands and Central Highlands कहाँ पे है? North of Satpura are the Central Highlands. Then beyond this, if I go, this entire is considered as the Deccan Plateau. ठीक है. Then there are certain eastern plateaus. This is essentially our eastern plateau. And an extension of the eastern plateau is the Meghalaya plateau. Beside this, there is the Western Ghats and there are the Eastern Ghats. ठीक है. So broadly these are the divisions of the Indian Peninsula. अब सेंट्रल हाईलैंड को भी हम डिवाइड कर सकते हैं. वी कैन डिवाइड इट इनटू नंबर ऑफ पार्ट्स. वन मेजर पार्ट ऑफ द सेंट्रल हाईलैंड इज द अरावली. And the west of Aravalli lies the Rajasthan platform. Some books like Khuller treats Rajasthan platform as a part of Indo-Gangetic Plain. Other books like, for example, if you look into Tiwari, he has treated Rajasthan platform as a part of Peninsula. ठीक है. तो दोनों का अपना लॉजिक है. खुलर का लॉजिक है कि उसमें जो अपर लेयर मिलता है ऑफ द सेडिमेंट्स, इट इज़ मेनली इट वाज डिपॉजिटेड लेटर ऑन. तो ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट इट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ द इंडो-गैंजेटिक प्लेन्स. तिवारी का लॉजिक ये है कि इफ़ यू लुक हियर स्टिल देयर आर प्लेसेस वेयर द बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म रॉक्स आर एक्सपोज्ड. ठीक है. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ पेनिनसुला, क्योंकि इंडो-गैंजेटिक प्लेन्स में कहीं पर भी बेसमेंट रॉक्स उस तरह से एक्सपोज नहीं है. ठीक है. सो इट इज़ अप टू यू, इसको इसमें लेना है या उस वैसे लो, इट इज़ अप टू यू. सो दैट इज द राजस्थान बेसमेंट प्लेटफॉर्म. देन इफ यू लुक इनटू हियर इज योर this is your Bundelkhand. This part, if you talk about, इधर ये ब्रॉड हो जाता है इनफैक्ट जा करके. दिस इज योर Vindhyan mountains, and in between this part, ये कौन सी जगह है? इट इज मालवा plateau. So all these, if you talk about, are the parts of central highland, sub parts of central highland. Then if we talk about Deccan Plateau, you know this is the Deccan Basalt Plateau, या फिर इसको क्या बोलते हैं, Deccan Trap. Extension of Deccan Trap is this Kathiawar. And then comes the कर्नाटका प्लाटो. ठीक है, कर्नाटका का ही ये एक्सटेंशन है यहाँ पर, एंड दिस एक्सटेंशन ऑफ कर्नाटका इज रायलसीमा प्लाटो. ठीक है, so that is the case, तेलंगाना रायलसीमा प्लाटो. हियर इफ यू टॉक अबाउट ईस्टर्न प्लाटोज, तो मैं इसको तेलंगाना और रायलसीमा को एक साथ ही रख लेता हूँ, तो इट इज पार्ट ऑफ एक्सटेंशन. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट हियर इन द ईस्टर्न प्लाटोज, वी विल बी फाइंडिंग, इनफैक्ट एक चीज मैं भूल गया बताना, यहाँ पर देर इज ऑल्सो विच माउंटेन्स, देर इज द सतपुरा माउंटेन. ठीक है, सो ये तेलंगाना एंड रायलसीमा हो गया. देन एज यू गो हियर फर्दर नॉर्थ, you will be finding that there is presence of a plateau which is Bastar Plateau. Here there is a synclinal depression मिलता है हमें, and this depression if you talk about is छत्तीसगढ़ बेसिन. ठीक है, उसके ऊपर जाते हैं तो यहाँ पर हमें एक प्लेटो मिलता है, बघेलखंड प्लेटो. दिस इज बघेलखंड. दिस इज एसेंशियली योर छोटा नागपुर प्लेटो. ठीक है, सो ये दिमाग में बहुत क्लियर होना चाहिए, ये सब बहुत बेसिक्स है. अब फटाफट एक एक करके बात करते हैं. लेट अस फर्स्ट स्टार्ट विद द राजस्थान प्लेटफॉर्म. Rajasthan platform. So if you talk about the Rajasthan platform, origin, can we say, अभी हमने देखा था, it was during the tertiary marine transgression, yes or no? So it was related with the tertiary marine transgression. It took place. And we know that there was encroachment of the sea, deposition occurred, which led to the formation of Rajasthan platform. Later what happened? Later it became dry area. And dry कब हुआ ये? Mainly इसका dryness बढ़ गया in the quaternary tectonics episode. So what quaternary tectonic episode ने क्या किया कि हमने देखा था re-upliftment of Aravallis took place. So with the re-upliftment of Aravalli, what happened? There was dismemberment of the drainage. ठीक है, there were many rivers which used to go in this direction. And with the re-upliftment of Aravalli, what happened? उनका direction change हो गया. The direction of those rivers changed. So what happened? As a result of this area became dry. Already it was in dry region, but like जैसे नाइल में होता है, the river used to go. But because of the re-upliftment of Aravalli, ultimately the rivers stopped flowing. Can you understand? History में भी तुम लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा. One of the reasons which is cited for the demise of Indus Valley civilization was the climate change. So it was this climate change which was happening here, which led to the drying of the rivers. ठीक है, So ultimately, quaternary tectonics, what it led to? It led to dismemberment of rivers. You might be aware one famous name, Gaggar. So Gaggar used to flow through here, but ultimately because of this, it became a dry river. So in this manner, the evolution of the Rajasthan platform has taken place. अब राजस्थान प्लेटफॉर्म की अगर हम बात करें तो we can see here is the Aravalli Mountains. So Rajasthan platform is divided into two parts. Physiographically, it can be divided into two parts. This is your 26 centimeter iso height line. So it divides the Rajasthan platform into two parts. The western part, which is the Great Indian Desert, which we in India call it as Marusthali or the Great Indian Desert. The eastern part is referred to as the Rajasthan Bagar. Rajasthan Bagar. So eastern part is semi-arid steppe and the western part is a desert. So this is desert, this is a tropical steppe. We know that steppe is found in temperate, but steppe का technical meaning होता है short grasses. So it is tropical steppe, that means here short grass climate is found. Marusthali, if you talk about, it is also divided into two parts. The western part of the Marusthali, this is the sandy desert. Sandy desert. So, like for example, you know, Barmer, Bikaner, Jaisalmer, these three districts are part of this sandy desert. वहाँ पर देखो, यहाँ पर जो मेन सैंडी डेजर्ट है, here there is presence of shifting sand dunes. So what is happening now? The sand dunes have shifted, they have moved, and now they are even entering into the other areas, including the Rajasthan Bagar. So this is a problem which is taking place in this region. But जो main जो sandy desert region है, it is these three districts which are there. Here, if you talk about, it is essentially rocky desert. It is the rocky desert. So here, the basement platforms at several places are exposed. The basement rocks of the peninsula, they are exposed. Okay. So this is how the desert, the Marusthali region is there. Then if you talk about Rajasthan Bagar, as I talked about, it is a semi-arid region. So it is divided into two parts. The northern part. It is in the northern part you will be finding the dry beds of Gaggar. Dry beds of Gaggar are found. While if you talk about, it is in the south, the rivers become saline. Like for example, Luni, as it enters in the southern part, it becomes saline. Okay, so this is the Rajasthan platform. Can we explain human geography related with this? What will be happening in the Marusthali region? Can we say it is an area of sparse population, mainly tribally inhabited? Okay, only in recent times in this region we have found some resources. Like for example, the discovery of Mangla fields, okay, which is one of the largest oil fields of India, have been discovered in this region. So we can write about that, ek line likh diya. Same thing if you talk about Rajasthan Bagar, northern part is the area which is where agriculture is very important. Okay, it is the area where green revolution diffusion has taken place. If you talk about the southern part, as we said, it is saline. So here there is difficulty in agricultural practices. So this is the case of Rajasthan platform. Then next is नहीं, जवार माइंस भी यहाँ पर लिख सकते हो, इधर उदयपुर के पास मिलती है, ठीक है। सदन में, इसमें बागर में लिख सकते हो। देन कमिंग टू Aravali. So we know Aravali are basically what these are: old mountains. They have experienced 3 phases of upliftment. Three phases of upliftment. And if you talk about the 3 phases of upliftment, पहला कौन सा था? It was around 2.1 billion years ago. Second, if you talk about, it was Delhi orogeny. And third, if you talk about, was the Quaternary. In Quaternary, they were raised as block mountains. अब देखो, जब स्ट्रक्चर के बारे में लिखते हैं तो स्ट्रक्चर के 2-3 पहलू होते हैं. इफ यू टॉक अबाउट, वन इज लिथोलॉजी. लिथोलॉजी का मतलब है टाइप्स ऑफ रॉक. सेकेंड इज एस्पेक्ट. एस्पेक्ट क्या होता है? अरेंजमेंट ऑफ रॉक, how the rocks are arranged. And the third is characteristics. This is about more details like composition etc. तो यहाँ पर हम इसको छोड़ देंगे, बट हम इसको और इसको लिख सकते हैं, ठीक है, because the question was talking about structure and relief. So if you talk about the structure of Aravali, can we say they are mainly made up of which type of rocks? They are mainly made up of granite and gneiss. Primarily they are made up of granite and gneiss. If you talk about aspect, जो arrangement हमने बात की, Aravalis basically represent a kind of synclinorium. There is a kind of fan folding which has taken place in Aravali. तो सिंक्लिनोरियम की बात करूं तो कुछ ऐसा होगा सिंक्लिनोरियम. सो देखो, फोल्डिंग विद इन फोल्डिंग, ठीक है. दिस फोल्डेड रॉक्स हैव अगेन फोल्डेड. तो सपोज करो कि पहले ऐसी रॉक्स थी. व्हाट हैपेंड टू दीज रॉक्स? दे वर फर्स्ट फोल्डेड, जिससे कि द फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ अरावली अपलिफ्टमेंट हुआ. देन अगर फिर से इस रॉक्स को दोबारा से फोल्ड कर दिया जाए आफ्टर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, तो कैन आई से कि इस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर बन जाएगा. तो दिस इज बेसिकली व्हाट, दिस इज फैन फोल्डिंग. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ सिंक्लिनोरियम स्ट्रक्चर, फैन फोल्डिंग स्ट्रक्चर इज सीन इन द केस ऑफ अरावली. तो दिस इज स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ अरावली. रिलीफ की अगर हम बात करें, relief of Aravali. So Aravali structure is something like this. They look like this type of mountains. So what is happening as one goes towards south? So towards south, they become higher and broader. ठीक है. यू नो, यहां पर दैट अबू हिल्स इज लोकेटेड इन विच द पीक, गुरु शिखर, ठीक है, साउथ में ही मिलता. तो बेसिकली इट इज अ बिथोलिथ विच इज लोकेटेड इन द सदर्न पार्ट ऑफ अरावली. तो दे आर हायर, दे आर टॉलर इन साउथ एंड दे बिकम ब्रॉड. इनफैक्ट ये रीजन है कि यू नो, बिकॉज दे बिकम ब्रॉड हियर, दे इंटरसेप्ट सम ऑफ द रेन्स. ओरोग्राफिक प्रेसिपिटेशन होता है, इसलिए यहाँ पर कंपेयर टू अदर एरियाज मोर प्रेसिपिटेशन इज रिसीव्ड. बट एज यू गो टुवर्ड्स नॉर्थ, व्हाट हैपन्स देयर? रिलीफ डिक्लाइंस. and they become narrow. But can you see in extreme north, what happens? They are divided, they become fan shaped, they are divided into fan shaped ridges. So in extreme north, they divide into low fan shaped ridges, which break the monotony of Indo-Gangetic plains. So these ridges enter into Indo-Gangetic plains. देखा होगा साउथ दिल्ली में there are ridges of Aravalli, ठीक है? So that is the case of Aravalli, relief of Aravalli. So this is the physical geography of Aravalli. If you have to write more, southern part is more forested because it receives more precipitation. So if you talk about the case of Aravalli, can we say Aravalli represent a hard terrain? So it is basically what? It is a hard terrain. So can we say it is not a major ecumene region? It is essentially what? It is non-ecumene. Ecumene का मतलब क्या होता है? Habitable region. So here the population density is found to be lower. What is the Aravalli mainly famous for today? आज के डेट में किस लिए famous हो गया? One, it is tribally inhabited region. Second, if you talk about, can we say it has been famous because of the illegal mining which is taking place in the Aravalli? Okay. So in recent times, its human geography has become famous for the illegal mining. देखो सिलेबस में एक टॉपिक है फिजियोग्राफिक रीजन्स. मैं यहां पर तुम लोगों को फिजियोग्राफिक रीजन्स का फ्रेमवर्क दे रहा हूं, सारे के सारे पेनिनसुला वाले. ठीक है, यू हैव टू सप्लीमेंट मोर इंफॉर्मेशन हियर and just add what is the climate, what is, if you talk about vegetation, what is the type of soil which is found in this area, and what is some human geographic characteristic of this region. ठीक है, then coming to Malwa. Malwa Plateau. So if you talk about the Malwa Plateau, we know that how Malwa Plateau was formed. It is a northern extension of the Maharashtra basalt plateau. So it is the northern extension of the Maharashtra plateau. Maharashtra plateau. So I have told you कि जो lava था, it was very hot and thus fluid, thus it was able to travel great distances. So that is how the Malwa Plateau was formed. But can we say that Malwa Plateau, if you look into the present times, it is basically, it has continental location, and this combined with the lithology, which is which type? Basaltic lithology. ठीक है, it has continental location से क्या होगा? कैन वी से यहाँ पे क्लाइमेट कैसा होगा? सेमी एरिड टू सब ह्यूमिड क्लाइमेट इज फाउंड, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस it has experienced lots of gullying and ravining in recent times. This gullying and ravining is also associated with upliftment in quaternary period. Upliftment in the quaternary period. So you can understand, अगर suppose करो कि this is the rocks and this is the sea level. So can we say कि ये है base level हमारा? So here the rivers will be able to cut till here. But what will happen if there was upliftment of this area, can we say sea level will fall? And if sea level is falling, will there be further fall in the base level? And does this means that there will be more deeper cutting which will be taking place? तो जहां पर भी गलिंग एंड रिवाइनिंग हो रहा है, बैडलैंड टोपोग्राफीज बनती हैं, देयर इज ऑलवेज दिस काइंड ऑफ rejuvenation which is associated with it. So similar kind of phenomena has also taken place in this area, and as a result of which, Chambal and its tributaries have led to what? Lots of gullying and ravining in this region. Okay? So that is the aspect which is associated, arrangement of rocks which is associated in the Malwa Plateau region. Now, can you understand that despite this problem in the Malwa Plateau, is it sandwiched between hard terrain of Aravali, Vindhyas and Bundelkhand? As a result of which, can we say it is an important place of human agglomeration? Okay? Because it is basaltic rocks, and the soil which will be formed as a result of which it will be more fertile. Okay? So clearly, if you talk about Malwa Plateau, despite this problem of bad land topography, it is an important point of human agglomeration. And tell me, in recent times, can we say it has experienced the extension of green revolution? Okay? Here also green revolution has extended in this area. So in recent times, cultivation of crops like the oil seeds, if you talk about, it has become very, very important. So that is the case of Malwa Plateau. Then next is Bundelkhand. Bundelkhand, we can say that it is actually the ancient shield, major part of the ancient shield area, and it is basically what? It is a kind of peneplain area which has been essentially peneplaned. Bundelkhand, it is old plateau which is made up of mainly granite and gneiss make up Bundelkhand. Basically, this area is semi-arid region. It is essentially semi-arid region. तो यहाँ पर बुंदेलखंड में बहुत सारे मिनरल्स एक्सेट्रा भी नहीं मिलते हैं, एंड एज अ रिजल्ट कैन वी से इट इज अ बैकवर्ड रीजन. इन रीसेंट टाइम्स बुंदेलखंड किस लिए बहुत फेमस हुआ है? इंटरलिंकेज ऑफ रिवर करके हम उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करना चाहते हैं. बट व्हाट हैज बीन द प्रॉब्लम फॉर विच इट हैज बीन फेमस? बिकॉज ऑफ बैकवर्डनेस ऑफ द रीजन, there is huge amount of out migration which is taking place from Bundelkhand. Okay, so in terms of human geography, out migration which is taking place from Bundelkhand because of this backwardness is a point which is to be taken care. Then Vindhyan mountains. Vindhyan mountains. So if you talk about the Vindhyan mountains, first important thing, Vindhyan mountains are a faulted mountains. They are faulted mountains. So where they are formed? They are formed in the Vindhyan geosyncline. So what happened कि जो जहाँ पर ये डिपोजिशन हो रहा था, जो हमने पुराना डिपोजिशन देखा था, there what happened? There was this kind of doming which occurred. And why this doming was occurring? Because there was emplacement of magma from below. Okay? So there was this kind of doming which occurred. Later on, south of this area, there was this faulting which took place. Okay? So now if you look into the Vindhyas, their structure is something like this. So this is the Narmada Rift Valley, and these are your Vindhyan mountains. What is happening to the Vindhyan mountains? They gradually in the north merge with the Indo-Gangetic plains. There is no clear-cut division, Indo-Gangetic बोला हूँ, other plateaus. They are gradually merging. So their structure, इनका structure कैसा है? Can we say they look like an escarpment? They have an escarpment structure. ठीक है. Very important thing about the Vindhyas is that their height is very low, just 600 meters. They are very low in height, just 600 meters. But still we are using the term mountains. Technically they are not mountains. Technically a mountain has to be at least 900 meters tall. ठीक है. But why we are saying so? Because if you look from south, if I stand here in Narmada Rift Valley and look to them, they will appear very tall. And because of that, what happens? We are calling them as mountains. Okay? So this is the manner in which the Vindhyas have been formed. I'll just show you. Okay, so if you look into the Vindhyas, so this is the main Vindhyas, but can you see several parts of the Vindhyas mountains? Like for example, can you see this Bandar Plateau? Can you see this Kaimur Hills? Okay, all of these are basically what? They are part of the Vindhyan mountain range. In fact, as you go towards east, they broaden into form of plateau. Okay, and this plateau in Bihar, Jharkhand, it is referred to as the Rohtas Plateau. Okay, so it is also what? It is also part of the Vindhyas. In fact, यहाँ से सोन वैली जाती है. ठीक है, इस सोन वैली के इधर पर एक और प्लाटू पड़ता है which is referred to as बघेलखंड प्लाटू. बघेलखंड plateau is structurally very similar to Vindhyas. So it is believed that formation of the Son Valley, what it did, it divided them. Otherwise, structurally it was similar. Okay. So that is how this is the characteristic of the Vindhyas. Now, if you talk about Vindhyas, tell me, can we say right about Vindhyas? Are they very important water divide? They are in fact part of the national water divide of India. What is the characteristic human geography के terms में? What is the characteristics of the Vindhyas? They are tribally inhabited, but very important feature of the Vindhyas is that several type of rocks, like for example marbles, etc., are found in the Vindhyas. Limestones, marbles, and mining of these is an important economic activity which is taking place in the Vindhyan region. ठीक है, so that is इसी का पार्ट है वो भी. ओके, so that is the part of Vindhya. Then अगर हम वापस आते हैं अपने डेक्कन प्लाटू पर, तो डेक्कन प्लाटू का फर्स्ट पार्ट इज सतपुरा. Northern edge of Deccan Plateau is Satpura. So if you talk about Satpura mountains, can we say these are old mountains which were formed somewhere around 1.9 billion years ago. ठीक है, Satpura mountains. If you talk about these Satpura mountains, in recent times, can we say with the formation of Narmada and Tapi Rift Valley, they have been raised as a block mountains. So with the formation of Narmada and Tapi, rift valleys, they have been raised as block mountains, because of which they appear very tall. Their relief, if you talk about of the Satpura mountains, it is around 900 meters. 900 meters. And generally they rise towards where? Rise towards east. Towards east. If you look into the arrangement of the rocks, Satpura present a hogback topography. Hogback topography. Hogback topography क्या होता है? When both the slopes are similarly steep, that type of topography is referred to as hogback topography. So you can understand इसके north में कौन सी rift valley है? Narmada, and south is Tapi Rift Valley, as a result of which both the slopes are steep, unlike what we found in the Vindhyan case. So their topography is hogback topography. If you talk about their lithology, in the western part, they are covered with basaltic lava. बसाल्टिक लावा, ऑब्वियस सी बात है कि जो महाराष्ट्र प्लेटू का लावा होगा वो उड़ के तो गया नहीं होगा, तो इट वुड हैव क्रॉस्ड सतपुरा एंड इट वुड हैव क्रॉस्ड विंध्यास आल्सो. दैट मींस इवन द वेस्टर्न पार्ट ऑफ विंध्यास इज कवर्ड विथ बसाल्टिक रॉक. ठीक है. इफ यू गो टुवर्ड्स ईस्ट, वी फाइंड दैट इट कन्वर्ट्स टू ग्रेनाइट एंड gneiss structures. Granite and gneisses, they become hard rock. ठीक है. और सतपुरा का अगर स्ट्रक्चर देखोगे तो कुछ कुछ ऐसा है. सो हियर गुजरात में भी सतपुरा है. हियर दे आर रेफर टू एज राजपीपला hills. Then there is this main Satpura range which is there. फिर और कौन कौन सी रेंज हैं सतपुरा में? There is this महादेव. देन इधर जब हम जाते हैं तो व्हाट हैपन्स, इट बिकम्स लिटिल बिट वाइडर. ठीक है, लाइक दिस. तो एक ये जो मेन रेंज है, जो रेंज की तरह दिखता है, इसी को बोलते हैं मैकाल रेंज. बट द ब्रॉडर स्ट्रक्चर जो है, दिस इज योर अमरकंटक प्लेटू. Amarkantak plateau. So they become broad as they go towards east. So this is the arrangement of the Satpura mountains. And similar like the Vindhyas, Satpuras are forested areas mainly inhabited by the tribals. Then comes Maharashtra plateau. Maharashtra plateau, we have seen it was formed by what? It was formed by hot spot volcanism. From which hotspot? Reunion hotspot. At the end of Cretaceous. At the end of Cretaceous. ठीक है. Very important feature of this plateau is it is also referred to as Deccan traps. The Deccan trap. Trap का मतलब क्या होता है? Trap is a stair-like topography. ठीक है. So it has a, as you go towards here, like there is Western Ghats, ये Maharashtra plateau है. Maharashtra plateau have like this kind of topography, step like topography. ठीक है. So this is referred to as the Deccan Trap. Then if you talk about the Maharashtra plateau has ridge and valley structure. So यहाँ पर क्या मिलता है हमें? This is the characteristic of the Maharashtra plateau. So suppose there is this Ajanta, Balaghat, Satmala and Harishchandra ranges. So suppose it was like this, you can understand river valleys ने क्या किया है? Differential erosion किया है, and because of this differential erosion it has been converted into ridge and valley topography. ठीक है. So this is essentially the characteristic of the Maharashtra plateau. Maharashtra plateau का extension is Kathiawar. Kathiawar is the extension of the Maharashtra plateau. और in between, जैसे अगर हम यहाँ पर देखें तो this is Kathiawar, which is again basaltic. This is Maharashtra plateau, which is again basaltic. So actually what has happened, this part is the part where subsidence also occurred, and you know यहाँ पर Mahi and Sabarmati rivers are also coming. So because of which what they have done, they have removed the intervening rocks, and that is why they are now separate. In the past they were joined to each other. So that is, it is extension of the Kathiawar. You know very well economic geography. अगर मुझे इसका लिखना है, what is the most famous thing about this plateau? The cotton, the black soil. It is most famous for that. So you can talk about this. Then the southern part is Karnataka plateau. Karnataka plateau. So if you talk about the Karnataka plateau, so suppose if this is the Karnataka plateau, it is divided into two parts. One part is the northern part, which is Malnad. The southern part is Maidan. Malnad and Maidan. ठीक है. So Malnad is higher, and if you talk about Malnad, it has which type of topography? It has hilly topography. Hilly topography. So here hill and valleys are very common. Maidan, if you talk about, is comparatively lower, and it has a rolling topography. रोलिंग टोपोग्राफी. तो रोलिंग टोपोग्राफी में अगर याद है, डेविस का जो पेनी प्लेन होता है, इट इज रोलिंग टोपोग्राफी. द मोनार्ड नॉक्स, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट, दैट इज द रोलिंग टोपोग्राफी. ठीक है. सो मलनाड इज हिली एंड फॉरेस्टेड. इट ऑल्सो रिसीव, बिकॉज इट इज हायर, it also receives more precipitation. ठीक है. Due to which it is also more forested. Can we say as a result of this the difference is also visible in the human geography? Can we say the most populated region of Karnataka is which one? It is Maidan, where the major cities, whether it is Bangalore, Mysuru, all these stretches of cities are located. So the difference in the physical geography is also visible in the human geography of the region. ठीक है? So that is the Karnataka plateau. Then if we talk about the eastern plateaus, eastern plateau. So eastern plateau में one is the बस्तर. बस्तर की अगर हम बात करें, what is the characteristic of बस्तर? It is old peneplain. On old peneplain region. It is heavily forested. If you talk about other thing important about this area is what? It is made up of granite and gneiss make up this land because it is a peneplain. It is in a way it is core of that Bastar craton जिसकी हमने बात की थी. ठीक है. Then if you talk about, it is very important for minerals. प्राइमरली मिनरल्स हमें दो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मिनरल कौन से मिलते हैं यहाँ पर बस्तर प्लेटू में? इट इज बॉक्साइट एंड आयरन ओर are the two most important minerals which we find here. You know, because of which we are trying to mine them, but there is, because these are forested, tribally inhabited, the problem is continuing and it has exemplified in the form of Naxalism. ठीक है. So this is the case of Bastar Plateau. इसी का एक extension है तेलंगाना. तेलंगाना is essentially जो हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले देखा था, इफ यू रिमेंबर, कुडप्पा, दैट कुडप्पा प्लेटफॉर्म. सो दैट कुडप्पा बेसिन इज एसेंशियली द तेलंगाना रीजन. ठीक है. सो इट इज द कुडप्पा प्लेटफॉर्म. इट इज ऑल्सो व्हाट, इट इज नाउ बिकम एन ओल्ड प्लेटू. तेलंगाना की अगर हम बात करें तो कैन वी से डज इट लाइज इन द रेन शेडो एरिया ऑफ बोथ Western and Eastern Ghats. ठीक है. So again, because of which this area is, we can say subhumid. It is subhumid. It is also forested, tribally inhabited, important with respect to presence of minerals. It is a mineral rich zone. Compared to this, जो तेलंगाना के साथ एक रायलसीमा पार्ट भी होता है आंध्र प्रदेश का, एक्चुअली इट इज एक्सटेंशन ऑफ कर्नाटका प्लेटो. तो जो रायलसीमा है, it is extension of the Karnataka plateau. Okay. Nallamala hills जो है, it is part of Eastern Ghats. It is part of Eastern Ghats. Okay. Okay. So Bastar हो गया. Then comes the Chhattisgarh basin. Chhattisgarh basin is a tectonic basin which is fort-like. It is a fort-like basin surrounded on all sides by high mountains, hills and plateaus. So, for example, अगर ये छत्तीसगढ़ बेसिन है तो इसके नॉर्थ में यहाँ पर हमें क्या मिलता है? बघेलखंड plateau. Here we find Ramgarh hills. Here there is presence of the high mount Eastern Ghats which are known as Northern Sarkars. Here there is the Maikal range and Amarkantak. And towards the south, it gradually rises towards Bastar and Dandkaranya uplands. So this is the structure of the Chhattisgarh basin. As we said, it is a tectonic basin. And which river is flowing through it? It is Mahanadi. So Chhattisgarh ka what is the characteristic human geographic? Is it surrounded by such hard rocks? Does it mean that it will be an important area of human agglomeration? It is. And agriculturally, it is very important. Previously, it was referred to as the rice bowl of India. This area is very famous for triple rice cultivation. Okay. So Chhattisgarh basin, then comes the Chota Nagpur plateau. तो छोटा नागपुर प्लेटू की खास बात क्या है? इट इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 3 पार्ट्स. दिस इज द केस ऑफ छोटा नागपुर प्लेटू. So there are 3 parts of the Chota Nagpur plateau. The smaller but higher to the north, this is Hazaribagh. Hazaribagh plateau. The larger in size but not so much high is the Ranchi plateau. And towards the northeast, is the Rajmahal. Rajmahal tract. So what has happened with the Chota Nagpur plateau? It was a mountain like Satpura before. It has been peniplaned. Now it is essentially what? A plateau. Here it is essentially the core of the Singhbhum craton, which we talked about. Okay? So it is divided into this. If you talk about Hazaribagh and Ranchi plateau, both of them are made up of granite and gneiss. Compared to Ranchi plateau, Hazaribagh is present. There is presence of more ridges and valleys. It is more hilly terrain. राजमहल के बारे में हमने देख ही लिया था ऑलरेडी. राजमहल was formed because of what? Hotspot volcanism from the Kargolian hotspot. अभी पढ़ा था हमने. ठीक है. So this is the characteristic of Chota Nagpur. यहाँ की this is the most important mineral belt of India, where so many types of minerals we later see are found. Tribally inhabited, the problem related with that all are present. Chota Nagpur plateau. एक और लास्ट पार्ट बचा है, विच इज द मेघालय प्लेटो. Meghalaya plateau. So tell me, if you talk about the Meghalaya plateau, it was formed how? Meghalaya plateau was actually, ये जो हमने ये देखा था ना, अरावली, सतपुरा, छोटा नागपुर plateau, and this extended in the Meghalaya region. But what happened during the late tertiary period, when the Himalayas were being formed, there was a fracture zone which was created. Okay? This fracture is referred to as the Garo Malda gap. Okay? So Garo is here, Malda is here in Rajmahal region. So during the formation of Himalayas, there was fracturing and subsidence of land, due to which it got separated from the main peninsula. ठीक है, पहले पेनिनसुला जो था वो कुछ इस तरह का था. It used to be like this. यहाँ पर this fracturing occurred, as a result of which it got separated. ठीक है. So this is the Garo Malda gap. Later the rivers began to deposit sediments in this gap, and due to which the Bengal platform was essentially formed. The Bengal land, which we call it. And thus it got separated. So it is essentially what? Part of the peninsula. That means if it is part of the peninsula, can we say it is the highest part of the peninsula? These are the tallest plateaus of the peninsula. ठीक है. और इसमें there are number of ranges if you talk about. So there is Garo, खासी, और कौन सा है? जयंतिया. There is Rengma and there is Mikir. All of these hills are part and parcel of the Meghalaya. लुशाई नहीं, लुशाई इज पार्ट ऑफ पूर्वांचल। ठीक है, ये पांचों जो हैं दे आर पार्ट ऑफ द मेघालय प्लेटो। इट इज एक्चुअली नेम ऑफ द ट्राइबल्स विच आर इनहैबिटिंग इन द रीजन। सो अगर मेघालय प्लेटो की बात करें तो मेघालय प्लेटो इज बेसिकली व्हाट इज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ मेघालय प्लेटो, दे आर सुएस्टा। स्ट्रक्चरली दे रिप्रेजेंट अ सुएस्टा। सुएस्टा क्या होता है? सुएस्टा में एक स्लोप इज स्टीप, अदर स्लोप इज वेरी स्टीप। ठीक है, so such type of structure is referred to as suesta. So if you talk about Meghalaya plateau, this is the southern slope of Meghalaya plateau, this is the northern slopes of the Meghalaya plateau. So they represent structurally, they are suesta. You know, this is the southern slopes where heavy orographic precipitation occurs, and it is the area where the rainiest places on earth, Mausinram, Cherrapunji, etc. are located. Basically, this is a heavily forested area and tribally inhabited region. So that is the case of Meghalaya plateau. बस इसमें दो चीज़ें बची हुई हैं, वेस्टर्न घाट्स एंड ईस्टर्न घाट्स, उसको भी कर लेते हैं। इट इज़ माई ड्यूटी टू जस्ट टेल यू कि अगर एग्जाम में, क्योंकि एग्जाम में बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चंस भी पूछ रहे हैं, एंड यू just because you haven't studied, you are unable to write it, these things are expected from you but you don't know, you lose marks. So if you talk about the western ghats, can we say कि हमने already formation की बात कर ली है? When they were formed? In the quaternary period. It was related to subsidence of land to the west of the Western Ghats. Now, if you talk about Western Ghats का जो relief है, it is something like this. Towards the north, their height is around average 1500 meters. ठीक है, their height declines as you go towards south. First, there is a decline. This height becomes lowest in Goa, where it becomes around 900 meters. But from here, they further rise and they become very tall. Here their height becomes, in southern hill complex, it is around 2700 meters. So this is the structure of the Western Ghats, relief of the Western Ghats. अब उनके स्ट्रक्चर की बात करें तो वेस्टर्न घाट्स, एज वी हैव सेड, दे आर एस्कार्पमेंट, दे रिप्रेजेंट एन एस्कार्पमेंट स्ट्रक्चर। सो एस्कार्पमेंट क्या होता है? जिसमें एक स्लोप, वन स्लोप इज वेरी स्टीप, अदर स्लोप इज जेंटल, सो दे रिप्रेजेंट एन एस्कार्पमेंट। लिथोलॉजी वाइज, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट देयर लिथोलॉजी, north of Goa, they are covered with basaltic lava. They are covered with basaltic lava. That is north of Goa. That means in Maharashtra. But as you go from Goa to south, their lithology becomes, they are made up of granite and gneiss. Granite and gneiss. So that is the lithology of these Western Ghats. Another aspect में एक और चीज लिख सकते हो अगर एग्जाम में लिख रहे हो तो, एक तो हमने escarpment बोला, they are almost continuous from north to south, but this continuity is broken at 4 places, 4 passes are present. ठीक है, थाल घाट, बोर घाट, Palghat, and there is Shenkotta Gap. Okay, so that is also you can write about in the Western Ghats. What is the significance of Western Ghats? Can we say they are ecologically very biodiverse area? Okay, ecological biodiversity is very important significance of the Western Ghats. In recent times, they have been degraded as a result of human activities. What are these human activities? Primarily plantation and mining. If you talk about the Eastern Ghats on the other hand, as we have seen, Eastern Ghats क्या है? Eastern Ghats are old fold mountains. Old fold mountains, which were formed when? Which were formed in old supercontinent cycle में इनका formation हुआ था. So these are old fold mountains. They were formed around 1.6 billion years ago. Now, if you talk about these Eastern Ghats, they have true mountainous character only in the north, which is in the form of northern sarkars. As you go towards south, they become broken, and their parallelism even, they are no more parallel to the coast, unlike the Western Ghats which are fully parallel to the coast. Okay, why it is so? Can we say it is because of the rivers? Okay, because these are old fold mountains, they have been dissected by the rivers which are flowing there. Okay. If you talk about their lithology, Eastern Ghats lithology, they are also old rocks made up of granite and gneiss. अगर उनके रिलीफ की बात करें तो their relief is gradually declining from north to south. In the north it is 1500 meters, in the south it becomes just 200 meters. ठीक है, so they are nearing to that last stage of getting penny-planed. And what is the human geography characteristic of this area? Very importantly, they are also in some important with respect to certain minerals, if you talk about. Like for example, the northern Sarkars region, it is important for presence of bauxite. Okay. So in them also some minerals are found. They are forested and tribally inhabited. These are also the same. ठीक है, ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी पार्ट अभी बहुत सारा आएगा साथ में, तो देयर आई डिड नॉट वेल अपॉन टू मच. द थिंग इज, अब हमारे पास एक स्ट्रक्चर है, हर एक जो डिवीजन है पेनिनसुला की, वी हैव गॉट अ स्ट्रक्चर विद द अदर टॉपिक्स विच विल डू, अदर क्वेश्चंस विच विल डू, विल हैव फिजिकल सेटिंग. क्योंकि फिजिकल सेटिंग में थोड़ा सा करवा रहा हूँ, उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा टाइम लगता है, एंड इफ वी डू इन द क्लास योर टाइम विल बी सेव्ड एक्चुअली. इफ यू वर रीडिंग डूइंग दिस थिंग्स एट होम, इट वुड हैव टेकन इवन मच मोर टाइम बाय डूइंग बाय योरसेल्फ. ठीक है, क्लास में हमने कर लिया, अब ये खत्म हो गया, इससे ज़्यादा पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. दैट मीन्स हमारी किताब के 3 चैप्टर खत्म हो चुके हैं. ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव डन. तो नेक्स्ट क्लास मंडे को ही लूंगा, वेयर आई विल टेक द ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, बट ट्यूसडे को आई विल अगेन टेक वन इंडियन ज्योग्राफी क्लास. ठीक है, एक क्लास हमें एक्स्ट्रा बढ़ाना पड़ेगा बिकॉज फिजिकल सेटिंग इज लाइक दिस. ओके, so we'll stop for today. Goodbye, take care. Tuesday.